Manuals are an alternative way to do auto doubles. They require very strict timing and as such cater towards more advanced players. They are called manuals because you have to input the correct timing yourself. You cannot just mash the button. You have to be precise. A successful manual does only a single normal attack rather than two from an auto. It can be done in any situation an auto could have been done. This includes after openers, shadow openers, linkers, and shadow linkers. The advantage of learning manuals is that they make it very difficult for the opponent to break. Let me show you a quick example of an auto and then a manual so you can see the difference. I'm going to use Jago's light wing kick into his heavy punch auto first. Both methods use the exact same input. Now I'm going to do a heavy punch manual instead. To do a heavy punch manual, you have to press the heavy punch at the correct moment after the wing kick and before the opponent recovers. If I would have pressed it any sooner or slightly later, the combo would have completely dropped. Now one very important thing to know is that all 6 buttons matter when doing manuals because each normal attack has a different amount of startup frames, which alter the timing window. On top of that, you can input a crouching manual as well. If the opponent is further away from you for whatever reason, you'll do a far standing manual. With the possibility of doing standing, crouching, and far standing manuals, and even command attack manuals, there's a lot to take in. So how do we figure out the exact timing of a manual? Well, unfortunately, this requires knowing the frame data for the opener or linker and the manual itself, so I suggest everyone to put on their thinking cap. If you have no idea what a frame is or how frame data works, you can check out this video here. I also added a link in the description below with another video for additional help. Now, an easy way to understand this is linking the normal attack. Linking is a fighting game term where your first attack gives you enough frame advantage and your next attack has enough startup that they connect in a combo. However, in Killer Instinct, a manual isn't exactly a link. You can actually cancel the last 5 frames of recovery of any opener, shadow opener, linker, and shadow linker on a successful hit. So the correct term is actually manual canceling. Let's look at the frame data of the previous combo I did with Jago where I used a light wind kick and a manual cancel that into his standing heavy punch. To see the frame data, simply turn on the attack data in the options menu. Now you can see using the attack data that Jago's light wing kick gives him a 4 frame advantage. The number on the left represents the advantage on hit and the number on the right represents the advantage on block. We know that you can cancel out the last 5 frames of recovery from the wing kick, so we add another 5 frames to the 4 frame advantage. This gives us a 9 frame input window, so always remember to add 5 to whatever advantage your opener or linker gives. This means that we can manual any normal that has a 9 frame startup or less after a light wind kick. In this case, we're using Jago's close heavy punch. Looking at the attack data, the number we're looking for is the first number on the far left here. This means it takes 6 frames before Jago's attack comes out, making it a 7 frame startup. To make this easier, just always add a 1 to the far left number. With the 9 frame window from the light wind kick and a 7 frame startup from Jago's close heavy punch, we can conclude this is a 3 frame link. Meaning we literally have 3/60ths of a second to input this. Now obviously that's a very small window since this game runs at 60 frames a second. This time let's use Jago's crouching heavy punch. The attack data says it has a startup of 10 frames. Now I can already tell that I cannot use this as a manual after a light wing kick before even testing it, because a light wing kick only gives a 9 frame window. Likewise, if we use Jago's heavy wing kick opener this time with his close heavy punch, that wouldn't work either, because the frame advantage of a heavy wing kick is only 1 frame, giving you a much lower 6 frame window to input. So this is why it's important to know both the opener and manual's frame data. You simply cannot use every single manual after every attack in the game, that's not how it works. Some moves are limited to only medium and light manuals. Keep in mind that the frame advantage for linkers is completely different than openers. A heavy wing kick opener from Jago is only +1, but a heavy wing kick linker is actually +4. So when doing Jago's heavy wing kick linker, it is now possible to manual a close heavy punch since we have a 9 frame window again. Let's do 2 manuals in a single combo. I'll still be using Jago's heavy punch as the manual. So I had to adjust doing a light wing kick opener to a heavy wing kick linker to land 2 heavy punch manuals. Let's try a different character now. Let's see what we can manual after Thunder's light triple axe. We see that it gives a +4 advantage, which means we have a 9-frame window to input a manual. Now let's try a crouching light kick. We see this takes 4 frames to become active, making it a 5-frame startup. This means doing a light triple axe opener into a crouching light kick manual is a 5-frame link. Now that's a huge window. In fact, all light normal attacks have a much faster startup time. So doing lights and mediums will always be easier to manual than heavies. Now the more difficult the manual doesn't mean it's the strongest one to use. For example, Thunder's Close Heavy Punch is a 9-frame startup. The light triple axe gives us a 9-frame window. This means you have to do a 1-frame link. This is the absolute tightest timing. It doesn't get any harder than that. Since plinking doesn't exist in Killer Instinct, it is very risky to attempt to do an input with the timing of 1/60th of a second. We can work around this by using Thunder's Close Heavy Kick instead. Thunder's Close Heavy Kick has an 8-frame startup. This would make it a 2-frame link, thus making it much more practical. Thunder's Close Heavy Kick does the exact same damage as his Close Heavy Punch, so if you want to manual anything to a heavy attack, it would be wise to always use his Close Heavy Kick. So always remember to consider the damage and the startup of all attacks in the same strength category. Now the reason you can cancel the last 5 frames of recovery from any opener or linker is because this gives the developers of the game a chance to balance the normals separately from combos. This gives an opportunity for a character like Thunder, who has slow normals, the chance to still use heavy manuals in his combos. This is the same reason why linkers have different frame data than openers. Shadow moves usually give a very high frame advantage, making it easy to manual after. The easiest manual to time is after a jumping attack. Since you recover the second you touch the ground, you can easily delay your attack and it'll come out as a manual instead of an auto. With frame advantage as high as +20, you can pretty much manual any attack you want. In very rare cases, you can actually manual into another manual during a combo. To do this, it has to be a true link between 2 normals. There is no -5 frame recovery cancel. It has to be done raw. For example, Jago's forward heavy kick command normal gives him +5. This means Jago can link a crouching light punch or light kick afterwards.
Brutal.
Understanding frame data teaches you an endless amount of combo possibilities. Spino has a unique combo trait called Ghostly Manuals. This allows him to automatically follow up his auto double with a manual. To perform this, first you must land an auto double, then press a button that is the same strength as the auto you just landed. The timing window to perform the Ghostly Manual is huge. You can press a button during the middle and ending of the auto. This makes doing manuals with Spino effortless. However, there are some drawbacks. Spino can only Ghostly Manual with the same strength as his auto. There is also a slight delay between the auto and the manual. This makes it very predictable if you use it carelessly. If the opponent knows what strength of auto you just used, he then can anticipate which Ghostly Manual is coming out. So it's still very important to learn regular manuals with Spino. The Ghostly Manual also has its own unique animation for each type of strength used. It is possible for the rest of the cast to perform a manual after an auto double. It is however extremely limited. Since a heavy auto gives you a +5 advantage, you can link any normal attack that has a 5-frame startup or less. Since pretty much every light attack has a 5-frame startup, that is your only possible follow-up. Once again, this has to be done raw. The game won't allow you to cancel during the recovery frames with the auto double. Most of the time, this is a 1-frame link.
solid.
Glacius can also manual after a far auto using his Ice Lance command normal. Doing a manual after an auto double is pretty pointless if you're not using Spinal. Since only the heavy auto could be used and only a light manual could be followed up, this makes it very limited. The point of a manual is to make it very difficult for your opponent to break. Doing a heavy auto double first would be counterproductive since that is the easiest attack to break. In any case, it's worth knowing. Now, a very common question people ask is if there are any tips on landing manuals. I can give a few. First of all, even if you completely understand how frame data works, it still comes down to practice. The more you practice your timing, the better you'll get at landing manuals. It's as simple as that. First tip I can give is never ever mash. Mashing the button isn't going to accomplish anything. You have to time your input. Second thing, learn light manuals first. Light manuals are the easiest to do. Start with those, then work your way up to medium manuals, then finally heavy manuals. Pace yourself. Also use high advantage openers and linkers. Jago and Saberwolf are perfect to use as they have the easiest manuals in the game. To properly practice your timing, first head to training mode and make sure your display combo state in the options menu is set to on. Also make sure the dummy guard is set to auto block. Now when you attempt to do a manual, if you do an auto double by accident, it means you press the button way too early. If nothing happens and your attack didn't come out at all, it means you were slightly too early but very close. If your manual comes out but the dummy blocks, it means you did it too late.
Triple.
So adjust your timing accordingly. If you'd like to see a quick resource on every possible manual for the entire cast without wasting your time checking all the frame data, a good Samaritan has already provided one within a Google Doc. You can check the video description below for the link. Finally, using a hand technique called double tapping, it can greatly improve your timing. It involves flicking both your fingers across the button very quickly. Use this for 2 frame links or higher. This won't work for 1 frame links. If you'd like to see an in-depth tutorial on double tapping, go ahead and click on the link above. Let me show you some examples using double tapping.
Awesome! King!
Let's recap the combo flowchart. It may be a little confusing at first, but remember, it is universal across the entire cast of characters. I'm going to now show a few combos which involve everything I've covered in this tutorial.
Godlike. Monster.
Take that! Gotcha!
Insane. Crazy. Killer combo.
This concludes the Chapter 1 tutorial. If you found this tutorial helpful, or you'd like to be notified for the next tutorial, be sure to subscribe. Thanks guys.